In this video, I am going to revise a few basic geometrical properties. You will be required to know these concepts when you study more difficult topics. So let's start with the first property. The first property is adjacent angles on a straight line. What this property says is that if you have a straight line and at a point there are more than two or three angles, you simply add them up and they will have a sum of 180 degrees. For example, A plus B plus C is equals to 180 degrees. And you have to write the statement with it that adjacent angles on a straight line. This statement will be required in your examination and you will have to write these because these will earn you marks. We already know that a complete angle on a straight line is 180 degrees. So if I had divided that complete angle into three smaller angles A, B and C, they should add back to 180 degrees again. At times, this property is also referred to as sum of angles on a straight line. And that is where the problem arises. Many students consider the sum of angles on a straight line and they make an equation something like A plus B plus C plus P plus Q should be equal to 180 degrees. Why? Because the statement says it, that sum of angles on a straight line. Well, that statement is in a way incomplete or misleading. That's why the property adjacent angles on a straight line is more specific. Or the statement sum of angles on a straight line would be complete if we said sum of angles on a straight line at a point. A point would be where the angles A, B and C are, or another point would be P and Q. So a correct equation would be P plus Q is equals to 180 degrees separately, and A plus B plus C is equals to 180 degrees, even though they are on the same straight line, but they are at two different points. So be careful when you are using that property that it says that sum of angles on a straight line at a point, or simply you would say adjacent angles on a line. And you will have to memorize these statements that I have written in the bracket, because instead of writing your own sentences, it's better to use the standard statement. Let's move on to the next property. The second property is quite similar to the first property. It takes a few concepts from there. You have a straight line, and we studied earlier that an angle on a straight line is 180 degrees, and that is on one side of the line. If I were to draw the same angle on the other side, that would be 180 degrees as well. So the property states that a complete angle at a point is 360 degrees. And that is true because 180 plus 180 is equals to 360 degrees. So our second property is angles at a point. Let's apply this knowledge in an example. This is x, this is for example 2x, and taking this to be 3x, I can say that x plus 2x plus 3x is equals to 360 degrees. And as required, I will have to write the property in front of it, that is angles at a point. So if I further solve this example, x plus 2x plus 3x would be equal to 6x is equals to 360. To remove x, I will divide the whole equation by 6 or both sides by 6, and you are left with 60 degrees, which is the value of x. Let's have a look at the third property. The third property is a property that relates to two intersecting lines. It simply says that when two straight lines intersect each other, vertically opposite angles are equal. That is, if this angle was A, the angle that is vertically opposite to A will be equal to A. Similarly, if this was B, the angle opposite to B would be equal to B. Instead of writing A and B, let's take some other alphabets, P and Q. So I can write that A is equal to Q and B is equal to P. The reason being vertically opposite angles. And that is the statement for this property. Okay, here is an example, and we are going to solve this question where I have to find the value of x, and let's see. First of all, I can see that there are three lines, A, D, B, E, F, C, and the center where all these lines intersect is marked O. To find the value of x, I can see that the angle BOC is equals to angle FOE, and the reason being vertically opposite angles. Therefore, angle BOC is equals to 4x minus 17 degrees. Now I can see that all these angles are on a straight line, which is AD, angle AOB plus angle BOC plus angle COD is equals to 180 degrees. And again I will have to write the property, which is adjacent angles on a straight line. Putting in the values, the equation would look something like 2x plus 4x minus 17 plus 3x minus 10 is equals to 180 degrees. Adding 2x, 4x and 3x, I would get 9x, and minus 17 and minus 10 would also add up to be minus 27. That is equals to 180 degrees. To remove 27, I would simply write 9x minus 27 and add 27 to both sides. That would leave me with 9x on the left hand side, and this would be 207. Yes. To remove 9, I would simply divide both sides by 9, and x would be equal to 9 ones are 9, 2 and 3s are, so that is 23 degrees. That is your answer, and we have applied two of the properties that we studied. You could obviously solve this question in a more difficult and lengthier way and apply the third property as well, but that would be time consuming and you will have to solve questions as quickly as possible in your final examination.